Good afternoon, everyone. Does everybody know me?
Afternoon, Curtis.
How you find the setup looking, Moti?
You so broad you cover everything.
Hey guys, don't forget y'all are live on YouTube, eh? Hi guys, y'all are hearing me?
Yes.
Yes, we are hearing you.
Oh, okay. Don't forget y'all are live, eh? On YouTube.
Yeah. I'll stop my video.
Agora puxa.
Yeah. I could do Krishna. The only thing is, let me tell you something. Let me take off this audio.
Good afternoon. Hey, Curtis, long time no see.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Small.
Good afternoon.
We're just waiting because right now we are live, so we're just waiting for a couple more people.
Nice to
Okay, no
hear from
problem.
you too, Joe. Yeah, there seems to be a lag between the videos.
Hi, hello everybody. We have our viewers online and it is 1 o'clock, and I would like to welcome everyone to the Utilities Engineering Open webinar. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me clearly. My name is Dr. Solange Kelly. I am the overall program leader of the Utilities Engineering programs, and I'm here to act also as the moderator for this afternoon's session. I have an astute panel of knowledgeable colleagues who will be here to facilitate this webinar. Before I introduce the panel, let me just indicate that this webinar is to give our viewers an understanding, a comprehensive understanding of what we do at the Utilities Engineering Unit in terms of our programs that we have to offer, and also to, guide those who are interested in being or enrolling into our programs to help guide you through the process. Some of you all may have already started the process, but I just want to guide you through the process. And so we have some people on the panel who will help us in that area as well. At the end of the webinar, or at the end of all the presentations, we will be taking questions, as well as if your question was not answered or your questions were not answered, we have an email where you can write us and indicate to us what your question is, or any other things we could help you with in enrolling into our program. So again, welcome. Allow me to introduce the panel. I will start with our speakers today. Again, I said I am Dr. Kelly. I will be your moderator for today. Next, we have Dr. Curtis Boodoo. He would provide us with an overview of all the programs that we have to offer. And we are very happy to have with us Mr. Richard Small. He will be taking us into, the role of industry. One thing with programs at UTT, we are very tightly knit to the industry. And Mr. Richard Small will talk a little bit more into that and what industry requires. And of course, we have our own student, Mr. Pradesh Budu Singh, and he's here to give his insight or share his experience as a student enrolled in one of our programs. So we really am very happy, and I want to thank all the panel members. Thank you for coming. Additionally, we have here to answer any questions you may have, or to give us additional information if they so like. We have, let me call it by the, let me say, this will be our administrative crew. We have our program officer, Mrs. Sidano Scott. She'll be the one receiving your emails when you write. We have our gate officer who provides us with advice and provides students with advice concerning gate application. We have Miss Taryn Connell, and we have Miss Ann Worry, who will be here with us to give us insight into the registration process. Ladies, thank you. And we also have on team our discipline leaders for the various programs, Mr. Mutiram Singh, Mr. Glenn Joseph, again, I called Dr. Curtis Boodoo already, and Mr. Dionath Ramkisoon. Everyone, welcome. Viewers, thank you for joining us today. Let me just give a brief introduction into our program before I hand over to Dr. Curtis Boodoo. So the Utilities Engineering Unit, we are located at across 3 campuses, the Point Lisas campus. We also have the San Fernando campus, and we are also at John Donaldson campus. Not all programs are available across all the campuses, but we will get into that further on in the session. The unit comprises of 5 main programs. We have our National Engineering Technician Diploma in Electrical and Electronics Engineering. We have our NETD in Instrumentation Engineering. Our brand new, which Dr. Boodoo will give us some more insight into, the Renewable Energy Engineering Technology. We are quite excited about this one. Our Bachelor's of Applied Science in Utilities Engineering Mechanical option, as well as the electrical option. Our Master's of Engineering as well. We have the mechanical option and the electrical option. Again, Dr. Boodoo will go more into these and give us a whole breakdown. Just a quick overview. We have a certificate in applied engineering program as well at UTT. This is a general certificate offered at UTT. It's not directly tied to the utilities unit, but graduates from the certificate can enter our NETD programs, right? One thing that is missing from the slide here, it's not only at San Fernando campus, we have our NETD, but also at the John Donaldson campus as well. Then we go into, students can also, once completed with the diploma, they can apply for entry into our Bachelor's of Applied Science in Utilities Engineering, as well as our Masters of Engineering in Utilities Engineering. These programs are available at the Point Lisas campus only. So let's backtrack a little bit. The certificate is 1 year. The NETD programs are 2 years full-time, 4 years part-time. They're with one slight exception, which Curtis will get into later on in the presentation. The bachelor's is normally 3 years full-time, and the MEng is 4 years full-time. Part-time, we're looking at 6 to 8 years if you move straight from the bachelor's into the MEng. We also offer MPhil research projects as well as PhD research projects, which normally last between 2 years and then 3 years for the PhD. Our programs are accredited, at least most of our programs are accredited. All our programs are accredited by our local Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago. And the following programs are accredited by our Institution of Engineering and Technology, which is UK based. So our bachelor's full-time and part-time, they are accredited, I think, as far back as 2011 to 2023, and then then our accreditation is again renewed. Our bachelor's, again, electrical option, mechanical option, and our 2 NETD program, the electrical and the instrumentation. What you're not seeing here is the renewable option for the diploma for the NETDs. You're not seeing the renewable option, reason being, you cannot get accredited unless you have a first set or first cohort of graduates. And seeing that it's a new program, we hope once we are reaccredited again in 2023, that we would have the renewable energy achieving international accreditation as well. Again, you're not seeing here our MEng. Our MEng has been revised to make it a little more attractive. And that revised program we would like to start as soon as we possibly can, perhaps in September or following September. And that revised image we will be offering, well, we will be presenting to our accreditors for accreditation. So we are a unit on very strong on continuous improvement, trying to match as far as possible industry needs or even national needs, which is our biggest priority. Our response to COVID-19, we at UTT, we have always offered blended learning, meaning that we have online capabilities as well as face-to-face in the classroom capabilities. So we offer both synchronous and asynchronous learning strategies, or we apply both synchronous and asynchronous learning strategies. For the period that we are in, the unique period that we are in with COVID-19, most of our classes will be online. For the classes that will be face-to-face, which are very few, social distancing will be observed. We have already planned for this. So we know what classes will be online and what classes will be face-to-face. Even the ones that are face-to-face, students will not be required to come out every time the course is offered. It will be blended. So some classes will be face-to-face and some will be online. We have also used a lot of social media in our teaching. So what the image I'm showing you here is some of our students, actually, they posted, was part of their project where they had to engage in a discussion topic and they had to post their discussion topics online and get feedback from what people had to say concerning their topic. So we always pride ourselves in being on the cutting edge of technology and utilizing it, not just having it, but actually utilizing technology to enhance course delivery. To date, concerning our employment rate, and let me just say these figures are taken 3 months after graduation. We have so far 74% of all our graduates to date from the bachelor's and the MEng program employed, 90% from our diploma, and 80% from our instrumentation diploma, and 80% from our electronics technology diploma. So with that, I now hand over to Dr. Boodoo, who will take us through all our programs and what our programs, the aims and what our programs have to offer. So over to you, Dr. Boodoo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kelly. So my name is Curtis. So this afternoon, I would be going through our different programs in utilities engineering, which includes the bachelor's and MEng program and our diploma programs, all three of our diploma programs. So I hope everyone is hearing me clearly while I proceed. Next slide, please. Right, so before I start, I just wanted to give an overview or a bird's eye view of utilities engineering and the programs that we have and how they are connected. So in the center of this slide, you see a triple helix. So that triple helix represents the 3 diploma programs we have. So the team in utilities engineering is a team of integration of the engineering fields or areas that we cover. You would find integration at the technician level with our 3 diploma programs, electrical, instrumentation, and renewable energy. And you would also find integration at our bachelor's level or BSc level, where you have a common year and then you specialize into electrical and mechanical from year 2 onward. So if you're interested in our diploma programs, the requirements are 5 CSEC qualifications. If you have a certificate level qualification, meaning you have a certificate from UTT or some other program, you could still apply. And we also have the mature entry route. The mature entry route is for applicants at the technician level I'm speaking about. So applicants that have spent many years in industry and may not have necessarily acquired the other qualifications I mentioned. So if you're unsure about your qualifications and whether you align to our technician program, please still register or still submit your application. We will get back to you on your suitability for the program. So when you enter our technician level program, you could choose between either the electrical, the renewable energy, or the instrumentation. We have a common year one. This common year one at the technician level means that electrical student is exposed to instrumentation and renewable energy. A renewable energy student is exposed to electrical and instrumentation. So you are exposed to all three areas in your common year, and then you specialize in year two. If you graduate, or when you graduate from our technician program, you could go directly into our bachelor's level program. Or if you have a CAPE qualification, you could enter our bachelor's level program. You then enter a common year. In that common year, you're taught content related to both electrical and mechanical engineering, and then you specialize from year two. When you complete your bachelor's program, then you could go on to our Masters of Engineering program. So this is just a quick overview or bird's eye view of the program. I will go in depth into the different programs as we proceed. So next slide, please. So what is a utilities engineer? So a utilities engineer is someone that performs a variety of analytical and technical engineering processes. They could include planning, maintenance, operation, or engineering design. So in the layman Trinidadian term, utilities engineering is a combination of mechanical and electrical engineering, as I mentioned, with our common year. So as opposed to other programs where if you want to enter a program that is strictly electrical engineering, our program at UTT and our utilities engineering program expose you to more mechanical engineering content. So if you're a mechanical engineer and you enter in utilities engineering or in utilities engineering program, you are exposed to more electrical engineering content than a traditional program that focuses solely on mechanical or electrical engineering. Next slide, please. So Dr. Kelly mentioned our MEng and our bachelor's level program. So our MEng is a program of 144 credits and our bachelor's program is 108 credits. So when you complete your bachelor's program, you could choose to immediately stay on and graduate with your MEng, or you could come back and do your MEng or complete your MEng program. I'll talk a little more about that in some other slides. Next slide, please. So the entry requirements for a bachelor's level program, I touched a little bit about that when I gave the overview. So it's 4 CAPE or A-level subjects, mathematics and physics included, and 2 others. So if you are a graduate of our technician diploma program or any other diploma program, you can apply to our bachelor's level program as well. And just like in the NTD or technician level program, we have a mature entry route. So if you have spent many years in industry and you may not have attained the qualifications I just mentioned, please still do apply. We do have a route for mature entry, called mature entry, where persons with a background in industry. So let's talk a little bit more about our Masters in Engineering program. So one of the entry requirements is your bachelor's in utilities engineering. But let's say that you're not interested in pursuing your master's in engineering immediately. So you want to graduate with your bachelor's in utilities engineering and you want to work in industry or spend some time getting some work experience. Well, you can return to the program via the final year direct entry if you graduated within 5 years. So you could just return to the program and complete or begin your MEng program. We also accept applicants that did not have we also accept non-BASc utilities engineering applicants to the MEng program. So once you graduate within that 5-year period, you could apply. So we do have a program comparability exercise that is conducted for non-utilities engineering applicants. Next slide, please. So what are the employment opportunities for bachelor level students? Well, as I said, the engineering areas we cover in utilities engineering are mechanical and electrical. And those are the two biggest engineering fields you could find in industry. So almost all employment opportunities are available to you in industry when you when you enter the utilities engineering program. So this includes the oil and gas industry, the petrochemical industry, electric utilities, of course, manufacturing, water and sanitation, and of course, you could get into education and research. Next slide, please. So our faculty or our staff at the utilities engineering unit is very experienced. And when I say experience, not only experience with regards to research, but experience with industry. So a lot of our faculty would have spent time working in industry and then moved over to academia afterwards, or they would have kept direct links or continue to have links with industry via consultancies and other programs. So the areas of research that we currently have, or this is just a sample of the area of research that our faculty have. It includes power quality, electrification of transportation, energy storage, OTEC, which is ocean thermal energy conversion systems. We also have a member of staff that deals with kinematic analysis of power snatch and power clean lift for Olympic weightlifters. So he's involved in weightlifting. And we have artificial intelligence related to renewable energy systems. Next slide, please. So at the bachelor's level, we also offer standalone courses. So if you are interested in a specific course alone, but you are unable to, at this time, to commit to a full program of study, you could partake in some of these standalone courses. They begin in September. You could find out more about these courses at our website, u.tt/apply. Next slide, please. Great. So now that was my brief introduction to our bachelor's and MIng program. And now we begin just a brief introduction into our diploma program. So as I mentioned, we have 3 diploma programs: electrical, instrumentation, and our newly launched renewable energy. Next slide. Right, so these are the 3 programs. The renewable energy program that we are launching this year, it's the first of its kind in CARICOM, so it's an exciting program. We have had a tremendous response to this program so far, and we are excited by it. Next slide, please. So our technician program in electrical and electronics engineering is one of our most subscribed, or it is our most subscribed technician program. It was inherited from the old John D. and Sandotech days. So John Donaldson campus was commissioned or launched in 1962. So this is over 50 years of technician level training that the UTT has inherited and added to. So our technician program is well known in Trinidad and Tobago and regionally and globally as well. For the high level of electrical technicians we have been producing over the years to provide service to the oil and gas industry and the petrochemical industry. So currently our technician or electrical technician level program is being offered at the Sandotech and the John Donaldson campus. Next slide, please. So in addition to electrical, we offer a focused technician program dealing with instrumentation. So Dr. Kelly would have shared with you some graduate employment figures. You could see the instrumentation program is in high demand. The instrumentation program is offered again at the Sandotech campus, and we will have year 1 at John D. Next slide. So I mentioned about the renewable energy program. This is being launched in September. It will be offered at Sandotech and John D as well. It's the first of its kind in CARICOM, and this program is meant to be practical and applicable to the region, and of course our national needs. It will be offered blended learning, as is all our technician level program, but the renewable energy program, the design of it started way back in 2018. And it was always the goal of this program to be fully online. So from inception, this program was designed to be online. So it's not online because of COVID. It was always designed to be like that. Next slide, please. So what are the requirements for our technician level programs? Well, the requirements are the same for all 3 technician programs. 5 CSEC qualifications, including maths and English. Of course, O levels, if you happen to have that as well. If you enrolled and completed our certificate in applied engineering program, you could enter our technician level program as well. We have had a lot of entrants or applicants from MIC over the years who do enter our technician level program. So we do accept the journeyman qualification from MIC. If there are other certificates that you have, certificate program, engineering program that you entered, please apply as well. And as I mentioned, we do have the mature entry route for persons who don't meet these requirements, but would have had significant years of industry experience. Next slide, please. So I talked about the bachelor's BEng having a final year entry to our MEng program. So we also have what we call a final year or similar level 2 entry in our technician level program. So what I mean by this is that if you graduate with electrical electronic technician diploma and you want to get your second diploma, either in renewable energy or instrumentation, then you would be exempted from year 1 because we have a common year 1, and you would jump immediately to your specialized year 2 courses. So if you want 2 technician level programs, qualifications, you just have to spend 3 years and you will be able to get these 2 technician level qualifications, 3 years full time. 2 years for your first level technician level qualification, and just 1 additional year for your second technician level qualification. Next slide. So the employment opportunities for our technician level programs, it's vast, and we have an excellent track record of having our graduates employed. You would have seen that when Dr. Kelly spoke about our employment figures. So, it's a wide range. It's a wide range of industries. And I would say to you that the technicians that we produce that are not employed, well, one of the reasons they're not employed is because they would have chosen to enter our bachelor's level program. So it's something that we are very proud of, the employment rate of our technicians and the different industries that they work or they have access to work in. Next slide, please. So I spoke about the standalone courses in the bachelor's program. Well, we do also have standalone courses at the technician level, and these courses fall under the 3 main technician programs we have. So if you're interested in the standalone courses for the electrical and electronic engineering field, we have a few of them offered. If you're interested in instrumentation or renewable energy, we have a few of those courses offered starting in September. Again, if you're interested in these standalone courses, you could visit the website for more information. So it's important we talk about the effects of COVID-19. And you would have seen in the news the challenging economic environment, and you would have heard about job losses, not only in the tourism or the service sector of Trinidad, but it also filters into the energy sector. And I believe what is important for a young person getting into your career is, of course, your education, but also a job, being able to have a job or get a job. And we are uniquely situated to offer someone part-time studies, meaning that if you enroll in our technician level program, or if you enroll in our bachelor's level program and you get a job opportunity, you could accept that job opportunity and switch to part-time at the bachelor's level. So you could keep your job or take the opportunity of a job and still continue your studies. And what I want to propose is, rather than the traditional route that a lot of persons take when they complete CSEC, meaning they go to CAPE, I would like to propose that when you finish your CSEC qualifications, consider entering our technician level programs. when you enter our technician level programs and you graduate in the same 2 years as CAPE, you are immediately employable in industry. So you could directly work in industry after 2 years of our technician level program. And if you want to pursue your bachelor's in engineering, either electrical, mechanical, join our utilities engineering program, and you could keep your full-time job and you are able to study part-time. So we do offer that flexibility, and this flexibility would be very important in the post-COVID environment. Next slide. Okay, so this is my short, brief introduction to our programs. As Dr. Kelly mentioned, you could send your questions to our email address if questions are not answered this afternoon, or you could contact us via this extension. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Boodoo, for that passionate presentation. And I would like to underscore taking the whole situation with COVID-19, not taking it lightly, that the university is prepared for that. And part of the preparedness is having these part-time, our programs offered on a part-time basis, whereby you can still work as well as pursue your studies. So you don't have to put your studies on hold because you are employed. And I would like to also underscore part-time for us means that the load, the number of courses you do are usually half the number of courses done by full-time. But you can plan your study plan, and we are here to, match your study requirements to your practical needs, because we are aware as well people have family and those kinds of things. So you can sit with your discipline leader, your program leader, and you can discuss, what your requirements are, and we can help you plan your course that you don't have to drop out or delay your studies. So thank you again, Dr. Boodoo. I will now hand over, and I think I have to upload your presentation, Mr. Small. So please give me 1 second to upload your presentation. 1 second. Guys online, please continue to send in your questions, and we will be happy to answer them at the end of today's session. We actually look forward to answering your questions. So I would like to hand over now to Mr. Richard Small, Mr. Small is one of our industry members. He sits on our industry board at the utilities engineering programs. And this board advises, they help our programs to be relevant in a changing world. And that is so much true for 2020 going forward. So our industry board help us to stay relevant, and to that we are very grateful. So let me hand you over now to Mr. Richard Small. Mr. Small, I think you need to unmute your mic because we are not hearing you.
Forgive me. So first I wanted to thank you, Dr. Kelly and UTT, for inviting me to participate in my short presentation. Okay, and furthermore, I feel humbled and honored, okay, to be talking to what could be the next generation of engineers that are potentially going to influence in life in Trinidad and Tobago and potentially elsewhere as well. In my association and relationship with the UTT, okay, for my own company, Classroom System Limited, the brand is at the bottom of the first page. We actually at the present time have a candidate who has been a full graduate of the UTT program. Okay, we're quite pleased with the individual. We have another candidate who is actually just as Curtis and Dr. Kelly would have described, okay, is midstream. Okay, he's working with us while doing his program. And we do have graduate trainees from the other university in Trinidad and Tobago. And I could tell you, like there's a distinct difference, okay, in terms of what I'm seeing of the quality of the product that's coming out of the institutions. Needless to say, having said that, what my presentation is going to be about is a little bit different. So rather than talk about the technical aspects of what industry is looking for, because I do believe, like for both institutions, okay, UTT, by the way, more than the other one, okay, the students that are coming out do have the bulk required from a technical perspective. I think it's important for those young people or those mature persons as well who would like to come into the industry, who would like to pursue their field of engineering, to understand what industry looks for. Okay, because I would tell you, as much as I have this cadre of young graduates that I'm working with and graduates in training, okay, I'm probably spending equal to, if not more time on the soft skills aspect of things. And I think if that was stated and articulated early for those people who are coming into a program, okay, it would help, in terms of defining who you are, what engineering is really about in industry, okay, and like you may help you make a better selection to find out if this is the industry for you or not, as the case might be. Next slide, Dr. Kelly. Keep going, thanks. So my outline is I'm going to be talking about engineers in industry at the most high level. Okay, I'm also going to mention career paths, though some of it Curtis would have mentioned before. Forgive me for calling him Curtis, Dr. Boudou. Curtis and I have a personal relationship, by the way. The expectations of graduates, okay, key competencies that we'll be looking at and for, okay, and I'll leave with the Q&A because I understand there's going to be a composite Q&A section at the back end of things. Next one, Dr. Kelly. So what does the industry look for in an engineer? Okay, engineers are professionals who invent, design, analyze, build, test machines, complex system structures, gadgets, materials, okay, write software these days as well. Okay, what are we looking for? We're looking for them to fulfill objectives and requirements when considering the limitations imposed by practicality, regulation, safety, and cost. So the role of the engineer is actually, in his or her participation for a business is to help that business working with standards, working with client and customer requirements, which may at some times be in conflict with standards. Okay, working with the organization because the organization is a living organization that is also supposed to provide you with employment and pay salaries, develop income. Okay, is to come and provide a technical contribution, okay, to the development of an organization. Any good engineer, and I'll say this probably more than one time in this presentation, any good engineer, okay, at some point in time in his growth and development within industry is to someday become a manager or a leader. Okay, and that too needs to be identified early, okay, and that too needs to be marshaled and polished, okay, and developed and mentored, okay, so that we can get the best contribution out of the individual. So in that regard, an engineer is expected to become ultimately a subject matter in his or her field. You can become a subject matter as a technical specialist, you can become a subject matter as a manager, okay, but that in either way, okay, is supposed to be the end game of the career, okay, to be assumed and to be accomplished earlier rather than later, hopefully. Next slide, Dr. Kelly. Now the career paths, I've actually decided to take a step back, even though my own focus is that I am a practitioner. I've been invited over the years to get into research. I've been invited over the years, okay, to get into academia. Okay, I'm a practitioner, but I'm also straddled that I'm a consultant. And I'll probably spend a second explaining why it is I happen to be both. Okay, simply because the environment that I was in, for me to achieve what I wanted to achieve, I had to be both. A practitioner is somebody who actively engages in an art, discipline, or profession. So for those persons who would like to become engineers, okay, there's the option which is that you can get into manufacturing. There's the option which is you can get into maintenance. Okay, there's the option that you can get into oil and gas from quite a few dimensions. Okay, and then there's the option that you go into and work into private enterprise. Okay, again, performing a practice where you can do any one of things of fixing machines, engines, motors, the like, okay, and delivering on that aspect of things. Another aspect of the career path is that of a researcher. Okay, and as an industry professional, as one who's preferred and concentrated on being a practitioner, as well as running a business around the practice, okay, we would want to identify early, okay, who would prefer to be a researcher than would to be a practitioner, because truth be told, okay, look, a researcher is not somebody who's going to be very comfortable in the industry in any long term, okay, and would typically tend to want to move on to other pursuits, maybe higher learning, maybe PhD, and so on as the case might be. So for a company, as much as, you know, like you may be willing that it's a job, okay, I think early for yourself, okay, and early for the employees to manage expectations as to where you see yourself going, because it will help tailor. There are those companies who don't mind people who have an interest in research in some time down the road, but then there's those other organizations where it may not be a fit at the outset, and it may cause some conflict in terms of your engagement for the time that you spend with the organization. You have academics as well. Academics, researchers, similar but different. Okay, there are those who want to teach. Okay, teaching typically at the high level does involve a bit of learning, a bit of a research, however. Get what I'm saying? But there are those engineers who, and I've met several when I was in my time in university, who wanted to come out and become a lecturer. And then, so that person is interested in or excelling at scholarly pursuits and activities. And then last but not least, again, I straddle both the first and the last, okay, is a consultant. Okay, and what a consultant is a person who provides expert advice professionally. Okay, so that is where there's some risk to being an engineer from the point of view that your word has a material impact on your client. Okay, and there's a risk in terms of if it is that you don't deliver the best professional service, you can actually, you know, cause harm, jeopardy, injury, or even death, you know, to a client, you know, and his business and so on as the case might be. Both, you know, like in terms of the person or in terms of his activities. Next one down, Dr. Kelly. So what are the industry expectations of graduates? Okay, at the starting point, we think you don't know anything. Okay, well, in the UTT case, it's a little different because in the UTT case, you know, like where there's some immersion, some where the graduate works alongside the profession, you may know some things. Okay, but with regards to the wide and varied spectrum, okay, of industries and industry roles out there, there's some industry roles which is that, you know, at the interview stage, it will be acknowledged that for what the business requires, even though you have a degree, even though you have, you know, the technician's diploma as the case might be, you won't be able to hit the ground running. Okay, so it's a case of you won't know everything from the start. But what we expect is that you understand the basic principles, okay, of what it is that you're required to do. What we expect is that, you know, like you may not be able to immediately contribute, but you'll be able to contribute, okay, with learning and development in the shortest possible time. Because at the end of the day, somebody like myself, no different to anybody else who's running a business, we're doing it for profit, okay? And if it is that, you know, like, and the resource that you provide in some way, okay, must either reduce the cost to help with generating profit, create to help with the generating profit, or actually create to develop, okay, which is a entrepreneurship in sorts, okay, you know, to actually, you know, develop profit and so on as well. And in any good engineer, there's a requirement that you have to have continuous learning and development. Okay, when you walk out of UTT, when you walk out of any program at UTT, okay, and you get into industry, it's not that your learning stops there. And I actually met people in my time, to my disappointment, who thought, well, hey, I knew it all, I don't need to know anything else, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Okay, so I just wanted to make the point, you know, to anyone who's coming into the profession, it's an area which is that you're never supposed to stop learning. And the IET, which accredits, you know, like UTT, as well as the IEEE, okay, you know, like as well as the Association of Professional Engineers in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the Board of Engineering in Trinidad and Tobago, they are now making it almost mandatory, you know, like you have to do continuing professional development, okay, to maintain your professional registration status, which I endorse wholeheartedly. So again, to manage the expectation, it's not, you know, like I've had my degree, I have my degree, it's the starting point to continue. Next slide, Dr. Kelly. So to that end, okay, as I said, I wanted to focus on what I saw as the soft skills side of what would come out of somebody that we'd expect coming out of UTT, what they would have or what we'd look for as an employer. okay? And again, having the experience that I do, in my own company, I've focused, like mostly, okay, primarily on hiring young graduates and graduates in training. Okay, I speak to other professionals who've done similar things, have done, maybe not as much as I have, or maybe less than I have, or maybe more than I have. Okay, there's a common theme and thread and word that's being used, the millennial attitude. Okay, so we're seeing that in as much as the person has the academic training, okay, there's a mindset, there's an expectation, there's a behavior that, like when we were at that age, how many, 10, 20, 30 years ago, did not exist. And that mindset and attitude is actually problematic to some of our businesses as opposed to being contributed to the development thereof. So that's one of the reasons, that a primary reason why I wanted to talk about this aspect of things outside of the technical capability and technical expertise, okay, was the soft skills area, which is that 11 areas that I've listed here that I'll go through one by one very quickly. Next slide, Dr. Kelly. So the first one is knowledge. And knowledge would expect you to walk into the university, into the industry with. You would have had academic training, you would have had courses, you would have done training, and so on the case might be. But then knowledge is also lack of knowledge. Knowledge is, I know what I know, and I also know what I don't know. Okay, so there's an expectation in that regard, okay, that, like, if as an engineer, okay, as you presented with a problem, whether it be to your boss, to your business, okay, to a piece of equipment, okay, is not to have the attitude, and I go back to that word as well, of know it all, is to know that I know. Okay, I know a three-phase motor, I know, like an internal combustion engine, but I don't know the intricacies of the starting system. I don't know the intricacies of the carburetor. So rather than go out there and try to be maverick, in terms of what you do, is to understand that what I know, understand what I don't know, okay, and to be able to go and seek knowledge of what you don't know, again, to build your own development, to go and accomplish the problem as the case may be. So what I would have done under these areas was actually put definitions in there, but I'm not going to spend too much time on the definition itself. I would invite Dr. Kelly, if she so wishes, to share it to everyone. I'm just going to talk related to the topics and so on the case might be. So next one down, skill. So the second thing we look for is skill. And skill is not the ability to do something, in my view, it's the ability to do something well, okay? All right, at the end of the day, one of the things that for my 32 years of practice, I've always, like emphasized on the young graduates I've had to work with, young professionals that work with me, okay, and for how my own training was as well, okay, is to do things to the best of your ability, not just to do enough, okay? And that's very important, and that's something, as I said, as an employer of a business, okay, which is that we provide services where people depend on us, to provide certain expertise. If something is not done well, okay, it increases the risk of failure, increases the risk of problems, okay, and those problems, are actually reflective on the organization. And at the end of the day, it is also reflective on the individual in terms of the quality of output and work that you look at it for. So skill is your skills, and your ability to develop skills is a very important aspect in terms of your contribution to your industry role as an engineer. Next one, next slide. So ability. So ability is, again, tied back to the starting point I made. Not necessarily from day one, you'll be able to hit the ground running. Okay, but notwithstanding, okay, like you have what it takes to be molded. Okay, one is willing to be mentored and trained. Okay, and I don't think, enough, like the young graduates in the current generation, from what I'm interacting with, understand what it takes for a business to invest in training. And training, by the way, is not just, like standing up in front of a classroom as you would have experienced in UTT, okay, where somebody imparts knowledge and you take notes. Okay, training is, like counseling, training is taking advice. Okay, training in these modern times, it's going, I tell my engineers every day, okay, some of the three most important things to me, okay, are YouTube, okay, Google, okay, and still being able to read books, okay? And I see many times, like there's this big social media and online, okay, emphasis, but little emphasis in understanding how to use Google. Again, I've told my young engineers, if I was their age, mid-20s, and Google was around, I would have probably had 2 PhDs by now, okay? It's being able to, and having the ability, okay, and proficiency to be able to be developed on. Next slide down. Attitude. My very first job, fresh out of I went to the other institution. 10 days later, I was in the Middle East. And the company that recruited me and took me there, okay, and like that was the very first conversation I remember having, you know, with the management team. They chose and they selected their employees based on what they saw as the attitude. And it's not just attitude to work, okay, it's attitude to self, attitude to safety, attitude to standard, okay? And attitude here, we're talking about self-confidence, being able to step into a space, okay, and being able to meld with the space and improve the space, okay, and being positive in your contribution. You can criticize, but there's a way to criticize. You can oppose, there's a way to oppose. But at the end of the day, you have to appreciate to know that in a business is a team environment, and yours is a contribution to the team in order for the team's success. And if it is that your attitude is negative to the performance of the team, okay, what that does again is put yourself at risk, put the business at risk, put your customers in jeopardy, and so on as the case might be. Next one down. Ambition. We would think, we would hope, and again, that is a conversation I would have had with my young trainees also the last few days, okay, that, you know, when one gets into an organization, one would want to grow as a professional individually, and in part or in whole, grow with the organization and to help the organization grow. Okay, so ambition is important. Now, ambition is like one of those seasonings. Too little, it doesn't taste well, and too much, it kills the meat, it kills what it is you're trying to cook. So there needs to be a right amount of desire and determination, a right amount of ambition, okay, that the candidate must have that makes the organization feel comfortable working with, developing, and growing the candidate. Okay, I've been told in the past, and I've used the terms in the past, okay, don't overestimate your capabilities. There are youngsters who have come in, I know it all, okay, I know what to do, you know, like I should be manager today, I should be getting a car, you know, and $50,000 salary tomorrow, okay, and is the organization, okay, commensurate with what you think your expectations are. So it's good to have ambition, because it's a very good thing to have ambition, but make sure you temper what your ambition needs to be with what it is that you are able to contribute at the particular time of your career in terms of your experience and ability to contribute. Next one now. Innovation. So 50 years ago, in fact, we've seen innovation over history. We're now in the new age, which is in like the data age. Right? Innovation is now filtering down more and more from bigger businesses and more into smaller businesses, and where it is that you have individuals. You have businesses that are comprised of one person, and that one person can actually develop a company that, you know, with a patent, you know, becomes a billionaire. Okay, I see Curtis smiling, for example. Okay, and I would applaud while having this conversation what I'm seeing UTT is doing with regards to the renewable energy program. Okay, that's innovation for you. It is the expectation of an organization these days, okay, that, you know, like the candidates that work with the organization, young and otherwise, engineers and professionals, do help the organization innovate. Because if you're a static organization, again, COVID-19 is an example of saying, if you're a static organization, you don't evolve with the times, evolve with the environment, evolve with all the other factors that are influencing the environment, you'd find that you're potentially going to make your business that of one similar to those who put shoes on horses. Okay, if you don't evolve, okay, you're more than likely going to put yourself out of business, as the case may be. Again, a mantra of mine, okay, I tell my young graduates, I did not get into business to make money. I got into business to stay in business, and making money was a byproduct of running a successful business. Okay, and it's the innovation that we've done over the 18 years that we've been around, okay, that has caused us to continue to be here today. And for what we do, the niche that we're in, didn't try to do everything for everyone, just to be in a niche. Okay, we're able to prove ourselves that we have marquee customers, marquee suppliers working with us. So innovation is an important part of the contribution of the individual. And you see that it helps develop the self as it helps develop the business as well, as the case might be, in terms of your thinking and being willing and always able to think out of the box, try new things, try new processes, ways to save money, ways to create value, and so on as the case might be. Next one down. Entrepreneurship. So innovation typically goes hand in hand in entrepreneurship. In these times, in a Trinidad environment, unfortunately, like entrepreneurship is something that, like we try to teach, okay, and it's not something that is, in my view, my humble view, okay, is not native to the individual. Okay, I can remember as long as I was, even as a child, I always wanted to work for myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to work for myself. Okay, now, and in so doing, I've created this company, as I said. And the youngsters that I have with me, the graduates that I have with me, many of whom I have in contract in a graduate training program. Okay, in part, for some of them, I expect them to leave. I would want that, when they leave, they would have learned something in my organization, but I also wanted to know that they've opened their mind, okay, in terms of what their ability is, okay, and they have the ability to go there, okay, and create, okay. When you consider some of all the programs that are being offered here, okay, the technical programs and even the degree programs, there are people outside there who are basically offering similar, if not identical services that don't have a degree, okay, and they own the business. There are people who own engineering businesses and are not an engineer themselves. Why can't the engineer or the technician do that for himself? So again, one of the things I think, one should be thinking about, one should be looking at, okay, is one's ability and skill, okay, and knowledge, okay, around the aspect of entrepreneurship, the ability to find upon and act on opportunities to create. Next one. Competency. Now, repeatability is a very important aspect, okay, of one being an engineer in society. Okay, now, if it is one's a consultant and every day new projects come by, the opportunity for repeatability doesn't come by every day. Okay, but when you're looking at, for those who desire to, and there's nothing wrong with that, become a maintenance engineer, manufacturing engineer, and some industries operate on repeatability. Okay, and repeatability should be all about optimization, that every time you do something, you do it a little better. Okay, and the competency must remain and must be retained. It cannot be that, okay, if the very first time I do it well, okay, then after a while I become complacent, okay, and my productivity declines, and the quality that I apply to the delivery, okay, also goes into decline as well. So again, another very important thing one would have to look at as an individual, and the industry looks at is the ability of someone to be able to do something successfully, efficiently, on a repeated and continuous basis. Okay, there's a proviso that goes with that. For some people, okay, they are able to do the same thing over and over again and be happy with it. For some others, at some point, monotony steps in. That's something that needs to be managed from a personal perspective and from a business perspective, employer-employee. I'm almost finished. Next one. Salesmanship. So a good engineer has to be able to sell himself, first and foremost. Okay, your opinion matters. Your engineering expertise matters. This is your contribution on a particular topic. Okay, it is a perspective. Okay, it should be based on sound engineering practice, knowledge, like information, standards. Okay, and you may have to sell that to a client, sell that even to your boss, because the way your boss wants to have something done, okay, may be way off standards, for the case might be. But if you are not able to sell what is the right thing, okay, you would find yourself being instructed by the same boss to do the wrong thing. Okay, so salesmanship becomes important internally to the organization, and as well, obviously, externally to the organization, where the organization is a service provider or provides products and services to others. Part of the role of the engineer is to be able to technically convince your peers in those organizations, customers and suppliers, okay, that you should be doing business with us for whatever reason, for whatever the product is capable of doing, or service as well. Next one now. Leadership. I started with this one. I would have mentioned this briefly at the beginning, and this is actually my last slide. Okay, is that what invariably any and every good engineer at some point in time is promoted up the ladder to a position where it is he or she is in charge of other engineers, or he or she is in charge of other parts of the business. Again, talking to my young chargers here, talking to people as I do, most people don't know that. I'll give an example. Some of the leading banks in Trinidad and Tobago, some of the leading commercial banks in Trinidad and Tobago are run by engineers. I'm happy to say they're electrical engineers like I am, okay? But it just goes to show that they demonstrated, not only capacity, competency, and expertise, but they also were able to display leadership outside of their initial area of specialty, that they are now in charge of organizations that, you know, like influence, okay, the commercial engine of Trinidad and Tobago and so on as the case may be. So leadership is one of those things that it should be looked at and for, and leadership is something that you should be looking to practice in your role, that I am willing to step up, I'm willing to take charge, I'm willing to mentor and guide others, I'm willing to work with others, I'm willing to resolve conflict, okay, and deliver the business objectives at the end of the day. So again, this is my last slide, okay, was to talk about the soft skill side of what we are looking for in industry. Okay, not all of them will be applicable from day one to every individual coming out there. Okay, but at the end of the day, you know, as one progresses in the profession, okay, you'd see there's a benefit and a value for all of them. So hence the reason why it is I wanted to point it out to those young people who are coming in so they can see exactly what the future holds, what's the path to take, what's the soft skills to practice, so that they can reach, you know, the point which is that someday they can look back in their career and say, I've had a successful one as an engineer and I get the benefits out of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard Small. This was, you couldn't have said it any better, that, and it's something we tell our students, that the thing that industry is going after is the character of the engineer, because anybody can assimilate academic knowledge, but the issue is that the person that carries around that academic knowledge has to be someone who is ethically, morally sound and able to lead. So with that, thank you very much. And from here, we go straight into Mr. Pradish Budu Singh, who is going to share with us his experience being a student within the program. So Pradish, over to you.
Thanks very much, Dr. Kelly. If I'd just like to share the screen, I'd just like to show. Right, so hopefully you all should be seeing that, right? Yeah, okay. So I just had that there just in case my webcam wasn't working, but we get it to work today. So as said before, my name is Pradish Budu Singh. I'm at the end of my experience for doing the bachelor's program, the BASc in Utilities Engineering. What I focused on specifically was the mechanical side of it. And I'm just here today to hopefully give a little different experience, a little snapshot of what the program itself was actually like. And I'll focus on certain projects that we tended to do and just the overall experience, and hopefully what you all too will experience for anyone willing to sign up for the program. So first of all, we built a hovercraft. As strange as that sounds, that was a project that we had to do in year one for system dynamics. System dynamics is one of the more important courses I would say that we did. It really involves modeling the behavior of certain physical phenomena that we see, like take, for example, the modeling of a spring, so that we can work with the equation mathematically wise in order to plan and design something. So our project itself was actually to design a hovercraft prototype that would be able to travel, I think it was 6 feet, and carry a payload of, I think it was 3 kilograms. And that was one of our projects that really gave us an idea of being able to work together as a group, as well as be able to plan and design our project and get it done. So this is our finished project, but of course it didn't start like that. In the beginning, we just worked on our hovercraft straight up. We got a plyboard, we got our engine, which was powered by a leaf blower, and we just started to work. We didn't have a plan, we didn't have any time period, we just thought we'd enjoy the project as much as we could in year one. And as it turns out, that was a very bad idea. Our hovercraft failed, and we had to go straight back to the drawing board and try to understand, why did we get this project in the first place? Well, the first thing we had to do was understand what we were doing. Why you're putting a leaf blower to build a hovercraft? What size it is leaf blower you need? How much propulsion off the ground you need? And so we went back to theory a little bit and studied a little bit, and also built a scale model that we were able to design and test several designs with, and then decide this is what we were going to go with. This is what we would expect. So that project itself, it taught us to plan a little bit, and as well as to appreciate the calculations involved, and in order to manage ourselves a little better. And the project itself turned out to be successful. This was our second time building it. This is a different leaf blower that we have powering our hovercraft, and this is all of us working on it. And it taught us as well to work together and to deal with failure, because for us to have our hovercraft failing on the first time was, a bit difficult. And for us to decide we need to scrap everything and go back again and to pick ourselves up back and learn was an interesting experience. And I think throughout the program, throughout my bachelor's program, I've had to learn that. And you have to learn to be dynamic and to learn to take it as it comes, as well as to try and plan as much as you can do. Some of the skills we were able to use here was also involved not only in system dynamics course, but another course involving workshop where we learned about welding and woodworking, welding, and we involved about using machines such as a lathe and just working in workshop in general. And that was helpful to help us to build our hovercraft. And finally, you'll notice that this picture is taken late in the night of us working tirelessly. We finally was able to build our hovercraft and we were able to present it for our lecturers. And it was really a project that I think encapsulated focusing on the theory, focusing on time management, and being able to show our expertise not only in the building skills, but in terms of propulsion and getting everything to work. And as an example of one of the more mix of technical and practical skills projects that we were able to do in my program. And here you can see finally, this is when we painted it and everything, and successfully we were able to move our hovercraft in UTT. This is in San Fernando campus, and we were able to present like that. And it was really an interesting project that, when we heard we had to build a hovercraft at first, we were a bit shocked, but the challenge was really fun and interesting. And I thought that this project especially taught myself and my colleagues a lot about working together, a lot about getting theory into practice and meeting deadlines. Another one of our interesting projects involved our course called Mechatronics. Mechatronics is a lovely course in that it combines sort of the electrical aspect and the mechanical aspect in terms of digitization of systems and being able to control these mechanical systems. And this paint mixer project specifically also emphasized a bit of process control, which is of course important if you're looking to work in the manufacturing industry. I would say any industry really that has a series of processes going on one by one, and you need to control feedback going through and forth and how to direct your process itself. So if this is the kind of thing you might be into, by the way, this is a microcontroller you're seeing here, the Arduino kit that we are working on in terms of programming our project in order for it to run the paint mixer. So if this is the kind of thing you're seeing, you may see a breadboard there on the underneath. You like the idea of working with these small electronics. Well, I hope that this program will be able to help you out. This is an example of one of the finished prototypes on the day. You can see at the top there 3 different mixers, the red, blue, and yellow, and going down to the motor underneath. And we have our Arduino set up to the left, as you see where the laptop is. And that was a combination of, again, a bit of electronical and mechanical to get this paint mixer done. The process control part of it involved actually testing the quality of our paint before we actually started to mix it. Because of course, yes, you know that you are pouring your batches in and you think that you are having a quality paint, but when you're out there in industry, you need to be rigid. You need to be standardized. And one of the important parts of it is making sure, is that paint good enough for quality? What will happen? How will it reject it? How will you build your system itself? And this was another project I thought emphasized a bit of the electrical and mechanical aspect of the utilities degree, of the BASc utilities degree. Again, this is just another close-up of the Arduino circuit that we had and actually working on the electronic side of things. And this was just physical design of project. This was another person's project, and it's a lot of time, a lot of effort, but it also teaches you to be a little bit more practical, a little bit more skilled, and to prepare yourself and get ready for what you need. And this picture was also when working, I think it was 12 o'clock in the night, although it looks very bright. It was working 12 o'clock in the night, and it taught us a little bit about how to manage our time, or how to better manage our time, I should say, and to learn to plan out processes together and who could have done what and when they could have done it concurrently or when we needed to depend on each other. So working together in a group, trying to apply these systems to make it work was very fascinating. Going back, and I think Mr. Small said it, one of the most helpful things was Google and YouTube. Just being able to know to go programming, to go on YouTube and to get a tutorial or to learn, to go back through your notes is a process of applying what we learned and getting it practically to work was a very important aspect that I think this degree helped us teach, and especially this project in particular. And this is in one case of in the night of on the day when your project failed. So you have to sit down now looking despondent and trying to figure out yourself what it has gone wrong, how can we fix it, and how can we get run back to our lecturer as soon as we can, because failure is generally a part of life, and failure is a part of anything you would do, I should say. And it's about how you deal with it and get back up and try to get yourself working again. And I think that was something we learned very much. This was us mixing the paint in it itself. And this was my design particularly, which used your windshield wiper bottles from Almira cars. We went on board and had to be resourceful and had to get it to work. And this is at the end of it when everything thankfully working and everyone's smiling. But of course, these were two technical aspects. But what about the soft skills as mentioned above? Soft skills is an important thing for any engineer, and you need to be able to know how to communicate with people and how to interact with people. So this project featured a grow box design where each group had to create a unique design for making a grow box in the community. And one of the important aspects about this was actually getting information out there on your own, such as going and visiting the Ministry of Agriculture, going and making a site visit to someone's house to see a hydroponic system, and learning from other people and opening up yourself. And being able to interact, for example, going to NAMDevCo and being able to ask permission to post posters to attract people to our seminar. We hosted a seminar to teach people how to construct this grow box is an important aspect. So going and getting permission, going and talking to people, and going and advertising is an important thing. Mr. Small talked about the soft skills you need. And I think this was an example of a project where you need to get out in your community and try to reach out to them, get as much people as you could and interact and be out there with people and teach them. And this is an example of myself actually teaching people about our project. We also had other members of our group where we hosted our PowerPoint as well as a practical demonstration. And this is us. This is the people we were able to get out. I think you needed a minimum of 20 people. We were able to get 40 people just by going out there, advertising, printing flyers, linking up with NAMDevCo, the Debe market system, and just getting the word out there and interacting and talking with people, which was an important skill. And I think it was able to show that not only there are a lot of technical aspects in the degree, but getting out there and being practical in the community and as well as communicating is an important aspect. So to the other side of things, we mentioned the IET. The IET you would have seen briefly above is the Institution for Engineering and Technology. And they are the board in the UK that accredits our programs. And one of the opportunities they have for students in this program is present around the world competition or PATW. So me personally, I enjoyed my degree and I enjoyed the content that we covered, but I had a little interest in autonomous vehicles, as well as a little bit of interest in something called neural networks, which is a programming side of thing. And they gave us a opportunity to develop your own research and to do a public speaking competition and to show the world what you were capable of and try and speak on your own. So I, a UTT student in this program, I entered this competition in Trinidad and Tobago, and I won Trinidad and Tobago chapter of it, and I qualified for the North American chapter, where I was able to present my own research on self-driving cars and trying to use neural networks to get these cars to work. The top left is my experience in Trinidad, and the bottom, as you can see, is some of the winners involved in the global final, as well as myself. I placed second in North America, and it was just such a fantastic opportunity to get through UTT, to get some research, get some of my own passion out there. I can remember in that bottom left, that was taken when I went to San Diego. One of the first things we had to do was enter a room with everyone, and all of these people networking, all of these experts in their field. And I sat there thinking, I need to go and talk to them. And the ability just alone to get over my nervousness and to be able to go up and talk to a random group of people who have interests I do is one of the things you have to learn. You have to learn to interact. You have to learn to be in a room and network with people. And it was a really valuable experience for me to go and do a lot of public speaking, as well as to present my own research on a passion subject, which was neural networks and autonomous vehicles themselves. This was just a tweet from the event itself of me speaking there in San Diego. And this is me placing second in North America. As you can see, the IET banners in the background. The IET also provides opportunities for any sort of research you would like to do. They have a library of research papers, as well as any studies you need to get done. And the IET has a local branch in Trinidad and Tobago and in UTT called the IET On-Campus Network, where we are members in UTT right here and performing the next PATW. Every year this competition will be held. So every year you will have the opportunity to travel, to present any research you want to do, and to learn to speak better and to meet a lot of people, which was a highlight for me. because I got to travel to India recently through the IET and my experience speaking. And on the picture on the left, I met, this is one of the heads of the IET who organized the meeting. And on the right, I was able to meet a friend from Nigeria, myself from Trinidad in the middle, and then a friend from Sri Lanka all the way to the right, sorry. And yeah, it was just interesting to see the opportunities that were given to me through the IET and through this public speaking competition for me to be able to talk, to interact, to meet people, and to talk about all kinds of ideas out there. And it was just a really good opportunity. And I thank for the IET for that, and for UTT and being able to take part and develop me as an individual overall. Now, after that, I was able to finally use my research on my final year project. I decided to work on my group member and I decided to work on fault detection in water pipelines, specifically WASA water pipelines, using neural networks. So I was able to take my research that was passion before and turn it into my actual project for my final year in my BASc degree. So this involved basically using the neural networks to detect several parameters or properties of water flow in WASA pipelines and to determine whether there was a fault present, because currently WASA depends on actually your calls and monitoring in order to detect a fault. And my partner and I were able to work on a project together and to submit this as our final year project. We were able to detect several parameters such as pressure, temperature, and others to detect whether there was a fault in the water pipeline. And while this is very specific, it just goes to show even for the final year project, you could have had the freedom to choose what project you wanted to do, based, of course, on the content that we were able to learn. And we incorporated many things. For this degree, also helped you teach a lot of programming side because we worked on MATLAB, a lot of SolidWorks as well, which has involved 3D modeling and CAD modeling. And that was we able to incorporate for this project. And this was the neural network, which was the programming side of it, involving a little bit of MATLAB, although this code itself is directly from Python. And overall, that was it. That was basically a snapshot of, I hope, what you will experience doing the degree or what you would be interested in. There are aspects, technical aspects, soft skill aspects, and I really think that it was a fantastic opportunity, and I encourage anyone to pursue the program itself. And thanks for hearing me out today.
Thank you very much, Pradesh. I'm sitting down here listening to you and I'm saying, I want to sign up for the course as well. You had me so excited. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth. I know our viewers online would really appreciate what you had to offer. It was very good. And again, thank you. Thank you to all the presenters that have gone so far. We want to go right into our Q&A, and we have some questions already lined up. We have Ms. Anwari Ramkasoon, who will deal with the application side of things, and Ms. Taryn Connell, who will deal with the gate side of things. All the speakers who are here and the discipline leaders, Mr. Mutiram Singh, Mr. Glenn Joseph, Mr. Ramkasoon, we are all here to answer your questions. So please keep your questions coming in. We have some so far, and I think Dr. Budu, this might be directed to you. We have Mr. Nicholas Ramsobag. He would like to know, is the Renewable Engineering Technology Program GATE approved? And but perhaps I can take this question together with Ms. Taryn Connell. The long and short of it is no. The straight answer is no. Reason being, the program is still at the GATE Commission, and yeah, they're still at the GATE Commission, and we are still waiting the approval from the board. So we are hoping to get such approval before September, and we would let applicants know when when we have received approval. Another question again from Mr. Ramsobag. Trinidad and Tobago has recently signed an agreement, and I think Dr. Buda, this might be for you, with BP and Shell for the development of a solar farm, which, yeah, they the 110 megawatt solar farm. Do these graduates, or do you see the graduates from the REET having an advantage of the project materializes?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Kelly, and thank you, Nicholas, for your questions. Most definitely, yes. I would like to say to you as well that I have unofficially reached out to both Shell and BP and made them aware of our technician level program and our interest of placing our interns in projects related to renewable energy that they may deliver. So yes, most definitely, yes, this is something that our graduates could take advantage of. Given that our technician level programs, they all end with an internship period. So for a renewable energy technician to graduate, they must complete an internship or a 2-month internship. And it is our intention to take advantage of this opportunity. Yeah. So the last question that I see Nicholas has, he's asking about, I said he's interested in becoming a solar farm operator. And he's wondering if he should pursue the EET or the EET option for the diploma. I would say that the RET or the Renewable Energy Engineering Technology program might be better suited for you. We do cover a lot of electrical content in that program. So you do cover your core electrical courses, and you also have an electrical workshop. So you are amply prepared for renewable energy systems with regards to the electrical content you would cover. So I would still recommend the Renewable Energy Engineering Technician program over the core EET diploma if you consider in your application or you consider in your job to be related directly to solar.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Boodoo. One question that I think our viewers may want to know, and Taryn, I'm putting you on the spot. Can you just kind of walk us through the GATE application? So if I'm a student and I want to apply for the diploma in utilities or the bachelor's, can you walk me through the GATE process? How do I go about accessing GATE funding as a student?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First, students will have to register to get a GATE e-service ID, and they could go to any TT Connect center to obtain an ID. Then they would have to log into GATE e-service and apply for their program. They'll be required to complete a means test and also upload some relevant documents.
And once that is completed, do they receive a response right away? How long? Or
no, usually it take a couple of months to get a response from GATE. It usually take a process.
Right.
So once it's approved, they could come into the student accounting department and sign their GATE contracts. But it takes a few months to actually get approved.
Okay. So then my next question will be to Ms. Ramkasoon. Can students still apply to a program while awaiting GATE funding?
Yes, they can apply for any program. They just have to go to the website. It's u.tt/apply. And they can fill out the application form online. Mm-hmm. And they will receive a link once the application is viewed by the Enrollment Services Unit as being completed. And a link will be sent to the applicant where they will then be able to upload the relevant documents. If they are awaiting results for any exam written in 2020, mostly CAPE and or CSEC, they can still submit an application and they will be assessed as a PDA depending on the program level. And once the results are available, they can upload and we will assess the application for a full offer. Following which, an acceptance letter will be issued and they can take that to the gate office.
Okay.
That will also be a requirement for gate eligibility.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So our entire process, you would say, is online. Students do students at any point in time or applicants at any point in time need to come in and meet with the unit?
No, everything is done online. All requests are done online. They just have to go to the UTT website, www.u.tt, and everything is on the website.
Okay.
All services are on the website. They can send an email and we can contact the student via email or telephone and we can speak with them that way. We are also in the process of implementing an individual Zoom ID on the website. So if persons are interested in visiting the campus, we know the COVID situation has posed many restrictions on us. They can go to the website again and select the Zoom ID that is relevant to the campus they wish to visit, and they will be able to reach one of the staff members there, one of the admissions personnel there. But that is, we're in the process of putting that in place. Nonetheless, the email will suffice, and that way we can always call the applicant and have that consultation over the phone.
Okay, this is very good, very good developments. And again, I want to let our viewers know that you can always, if you're interested in any of the utilities engineering program, you can send us your email to utilitiesengineering@utt.edu.tt. All our information is on the website, so you can call us. Our numbers are on the website as well. So you can call us or send us an email, and we'll be very, very happy to respond to you. So we have passed our time, but I think it was time well spent. So I want to thank again our presenters, all our presenters. I want to also thank all our viewers and all of you who are interested in joining the utilities engineering programs. I want to thank you. Like I said, based on, let's base it on Mr. Pradesh Budu Singh's presentation. You will have a lot of fun throughout your learning. And again, you see that we don't only stress academics, but also we stress the development of the engineer as well, because a lot of things came out of Mr. Budu Singh's presentation. You saw friendship, relationship, perseverance, how, failure, not just failing, but learning from your failure, not just rising up, but you learned from it. Community service, something we stress on a lot. So we look forward to answering more of your questions. And again, thank you all for joining. Take care and bye-bye.